assortment manager for the cooperative food business. That makes me responsible for the flow of goods for the food organisation for all ambient and frozen products. I used to be responsible for fresh as well, but a year or so ago we divested fresh from my team so that I could focus on ambient and frozen. So that's currently my key focus.
Fine. How many SKUs are you responsible for, and how many stores are you responsible for, roughly?
Well, Co-op Group has 2,800 stores. I, however, support independent societies as well, like Scott Mid and Southern Co-ops and that sort of thing. So I'm responsible for 4,000 stores. I support them through a distribution network of composite depots, of which there's currently 11 regional and 1 national distribution centre. In terms of SKUs, currently we're at 10,000.
Okay.
So that's 10,000 across 11 depots. So that's 110,000 SKUs.
Yeah. In reference to store geography, does the Co-op have interesting and challenging store locations?
We are the only, still the only retailer with a store in every postcode in the UK. Tesco haven't beat us there yet. So of those 4,000 shops, they're in the Channel Islands, through the Isles of Scilly into mainland UK, across to Northern Ireland, up into Scotland, and out into the Orkneys, Shetlands, the Outer Hebrides. So I think I mentioned to you the furthest one away from us is Papa Westray, and that one, it takes our driver 2 days to get to that store from from the local distribution centre in Newhouse. We do give him a break when he gets to Aberdeen and he manages to bivvy down for the night. But I mean, if you think just 2 weeks ago we had the issue with snow, so we had to invoke our what we call snow chain contingency. That resulted in us having to get planes out to Stornoway and up into the Hebrides. But you've got to get the food to the guys, haven't you? So Channel Islands less of an issue. There's a very significant ferry route.
Less snow.
And less snow to Jersey and Guernsey. But yeah, as you get into the Highlands, it does become quite treacherous. And when you think about the store size that we operate, our average is 3,500 square foot. There's a lot of shops about 1,000 square foot. So they have quite a concentrated range. So we're not ordering like you would see in the big multiples, full pallets of stock going in. Yes, in certain cases, single bottles on the back of a truck, off it goes to Stornoway, can't get across because of the ferry, so we have to find other ways and means cost effectively to do that. But the Co-op isn't just a food retailer. In those situations, it's the heart of the community, particularly, as I say, in the Highlands and Islands. And the community's built around the Co-op, so you've got to do that. You've got to be able to support them, and that's what we do.
Right. The Co-op has taken over and merged with Summerfield and others over the last decade. What issues have arisen in any forms of IT systems integration?
IT systems. Every time we do something, we think we can apply the model from the last acquisition, and we invariably can't. There's always something. I think that the first and most fundamental issue is in data structure and hierarchies. Always different. For example, our product codes, we have a national stock line, which is the code that is attributed to the EAN, which then, the next level up from that is the retail line, which the stores recognise as the space on the shelf. So a Mars bar, whereas the national stock line would be the Mars bar plus the Mars bar 20p plus the price mark Mars bar plus the one with the England flag on it because it's Euro and what have you. So that's our structure. Every single acquisition we've had a different structure. So you could have two identical products that are absolutely indefinable between the two structures. And what we tend to have to do is break it down to its lowest common denominator, pull them together. Not easy when you consider that our core systems, the ones that we bring all of these stores onto, actually we have 24 different identifiers for a single store. So we've got our own data integrity issues. On top of that then, you've got a new system you're trying to align. And from my perspective in stock, All I really want to be able to do is to say, yeah, that's my Mars bar, that's their Mars bar, add the two together. It's never that easy. So that's the first issue, data hierarchies. Then, in terms of systems, it's almost de rigueur these days. What you tend to do is you switch theirs off, you drag it all onto ours, and you nick the best bits.
Yeah, I remember the first time you contacted me, you talked about merging two co-op systems together and how you merged the SKU coding systems together, some kind of superset presumably.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're merging the two co-ops together, it's a lot simpler because you've got the same products, you've got the same range, you've got the same promotion package. You do tend to speak the same language because, as I said at the start, we support every single one of the independent societies. So I supply them already. Bringing them together is quite simple because you just switch off their sales-based ordering and back office system, pull them onto yours. You've largely got the same hierarchy. You don't have to worry about the planograms and the floor layouts because you've already got that sorted. Because you've actually told them what it is. But you take something like Summerfield, most recent one, where in effect they were supermarkets and we were convenience stores. You can easily make a mistake by just trying to push a convenience offer into a Summerfield supermarket estate. And what you get there is you just get an expansion of the range. The range then downgrades in the public's eyes because it's just rows and rows of the same shit. Sorry. Same stuff.
It's okay.
And we, I think, with hindsight, we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit there. So what you've got to do with each of these acquisitions is recognise the customer mission, what they're there for. You know, why you can't buy a supermarket and turn it into a convenience store. You can't push a convenience store into a supermarket. You have to understand the demographic of those that are shopping there, what they want, and be able to align or change what you're offering to satisfy that customer base, or you'll lose them. And I think in a number of situations we've done that. But let's say back to from a system perspective, we tend to spend some time with the guys, understand how they work, get into the data. The data is the crux because when you bring the two together, it's the data that aligns it ultimately. How the forecasting algorithms or what have you are neither here nor there ultimately. I mean, they're important to me, but at the end of the day, if you're bringing them together, you're going to use what you've got. So as long as you've got that data aligned and you've got the appropriate footprint for the stores you're bringing in, you just switch those systems off, having alignment. Now, you've got a period of parallel run, but ultimately their systems go. And if there's like something you like, you nick it. So our planogramming system, so the merchandising solution was taken from All Days, and the central replenishment stuff that we're now responding to or building comes from Summerfield. The rest of it's a load of core old systems that we've had here for a long time. I think our post system's 20 odd years old.
Right. The legacy depots have been replaced, requiring depot network rationalisation.
Yeah.
What issues have arisen here in terms of IT systems and physical depot design?
Well, it makes sense. Given the we're from, as I've said, part of West Stray down to Guernsey. You don't want to have multiple distribution centres, and I've got to say, our distribution network was built on the fact that it was bolt-ons, it was acquisitions, and we had 26 ambient depots when I first started here. We're now, as I say, down to 11. Our final one, our final composite, is opening in Castlewood near Alfreton we'll start loading stock into that one in a fortnight's time. So that's the last one. We use Manhattan Associates.
Yeah.
We've got a long-term partnership with Manhattan Associates. So with every new build, Manhattan goes in there. We've got voice recognition. So in terms of some of the issues, the funniest one was when we opened our national distribution centre at Coventry. We had to fundamentally rewrite our voice picking because we employed a load of Poles. And the voice recognition system didn't recognise the language, so you know there's a learning. But every new build gets Manhattan put in, and in terms of those legacy sites which we kept, I'm trying to think if there is actually one. There isn't, so I think we've closed all of our legacy sites now. Again, what we try to do is we transfer as much staff across to the new sites as we possibly can. We take that knowledge base with us, and we use the same team on implementation for each one, so that they're very clued up on it. The Manhattan system manages WMS across ambient, fresh and frozen. The composite network was because we wanted to reduce our carbon footprint. We wanted to be ecological, if that's the right word. We've won awards for our sustainability. We've redesigned the roofs so that they can capture rain, and we can recycle that rain. I couldn't tell you what the lighting specification is, but somebody could, and it's very, very good. So from a green perspective, the network we've created ticks those boxes. We're an ethical retailer, we care about the environment. That's how they've been designed. And the way, as I say, the composite deliveries element, it has been set up so we've got a kind of flow mechanism, so the fresh goes in there first, and then we get the ambient pulling the frozen last. And it's, as I say, in terms of logistics, although logistics isn't necessarily my strength, because I'm in forecasting, planning and replenishment, so the actual moving of the boxes, we have people who are very, very good at making that as efficient as possible. Those depots have been designed absolutely with absolute efficiency, and line cost per case has been reduced by about £1, which is pretty damn good, to be honest. And in terms of the legacy sites, we keep them on their host systems to the point at which we shut them down.
Whose forecasting software do you use?
We use, for stores, we use in-house developed stuff, the Summerfield stuff, so that's our ESM and SAM packages, which we took from the Summerfield acquisition. And for depot, we use JDA's AWR solution. The two aren't linked at this point.
That's life.
Yeah, that's what people say.
Right. What are the issues in your central store replenishment initiative, and which performance measures have been improved or will we want to be improved in that particular?
Replenishment is really the final stage. I mean, 15 years ago when we started here, supply chain was just getting stock into depots. Stores could then manage it themselves after that with an open catalogue. So it's been a long time coming to the point where you actually create a central function that manages the forecast, and to support that you've got a closed catalogue. So each store is planogrammed for the stock it should sell. It doesn't take any more stock than that, doesn't take any less. That's a cultural change for stores. We used to have about 3,000 entrepreneurs who owned these stores who thought, I'll sell what I know I can sell.
What managers rated on their performances and entrepreneurs?
They're managed on their sales performance, but then by the same token they're also managed on their wastage performance. Those two often conflict. So it's at the moment we're on sales right now, and we've taken the wastage and the stock holding element. Now that we've got central visibility and central management, store stocks and store wastage are responsibility of supply chain. One of my colleagues who populate the store systems, so they're the ones who are forecasting that stock. Their systems are trying to drive on-shelf availability. So it's their constraints and characteristics that define how much stock goes into the stores. Never had that kind of level of visibility before, so they're maintaining that. Myself, I still do what traditionally we used to do, and I'm the one who fills the depots up based on their requirements. So whereas a year or two ago I was guessing what the 4,000 including CRTG store managers wanted, what we're getting now is much better visibility, and I'm getting a projected forecast some 14 days out, which is a lot better. It improves significantly my accuracy of that final order placement. But I mean, as you'll know, a forecast loses confidence over time. So 14 days is great, but when I'm trying to secure production runs with suppliers, I'm at 6, 7, 8 weeks out. I use the information that I now have from those central replenishment systems to come up with the best endeavours forecast, and that's what I'm using with the supply base. My KPIs are stock to budget, ex-depot availability and on-shelf availability. On-shelf availability is a fairly new measure to us. Up until the point we had central replenishment, we didn't have visibility of on-shelf availability. We didn't have visibility of store stocks either. Each one was on its own. So we now have that visibility. We can now tell you within a day what the number of gaps in any one of our 2,800 shops are, the lost sales impact of that, the book stock accuracy as well. So it might be a gap, but you could have it in the back room. So we'll tell you that that's a replenishment opportunity. Go find your stock and stop telling me that you're not getting it because you are. And wastage is a new one for us because, as I say, now that we can apply those influences, now we're taking accountability for the wastage figures as well. So it's a big shift. I mean, it took 5 years ago, the only measure of availability in the co-op was my ex-depot availability, or when a supplier went round with their sales crew and said, you haven't got our stock on the shelves. So it's a big change. So getting central replenishment has massively improved our customer offer, because now we can tell exactly what's in stock at any given point in time, which is great.
Fine. Would you recommend retail logistics as a career, which is interesting, challenging, and to some extent financially rewarding?
I moved out of engineering in 1998 to join the co-op, and I swore that I'd be at the co-op for no more than 2 years. That was 15 years ago. I'm still here, I'm still in supply chain. I've always been in supply chain. I started off life as an inventory analyst owning a portfolio of products. I managed confectionery for a couple of Christmases, that was fun, and then went into supply chain development for the co-op. I did that for a few years, got a number of projects under my belt in terms of integration, in terms of developing CPFR and creating supplier forums, bringing bonded replenishment into our wines supply chain. Bloody hell, there's so much you can actually do in retail and in supply chain. Supply chain's always the least exciting, I think, element to it. We have a massive graduate program, and everyone wants to go into marketing. Everyone wants to go into marketing or buying, but I think this business, as with a lot of businesses, is beginning to realise that the lifeblood of the retailer, particularly a convenience retailer, is the supply chain. The influence that we have on customer expectations and whether those customers are going to come back far outweigh what you put on the telly. To be honest, it's when you go there, it's that critical point when you come into that shop, what you want, because you're going into our shop for a distressed purchase, if it's there or not. And my job is to ensure that in 4,000 shops, that product is there. And that's what I do. Every time I go into a co-op, I say to my little daughter, Daddy put that there. And she's dead excited about it. She loves it. She says, you've never been in here before. I say, yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. But my job is to make sure that that's there. I think retail logistics, retail supply chain is a fascinating place to work. It's constantly shifting. You're responding to the weather, you're responding to customer demand, you're responding to what's on the news today. Every single day. You can't live a life as a consumer and not bring that into your work. It's fascinating. That's why I'm still here.
Good.